The temptation is always there not to rock the boat, always toe the party line. I had to go with my conscience and be the person that spoke up.
Lizzie Jones joined the Metropolitan Police in 2006 because she wanted to protect the public, particularly women and girls. But right from the start, she was having to protect herself against a sexist police station culture.
You were preyed upon. It was all about who is attractive, what you were out of 10. You know, it would be, this woman's an 8 out of 10, but Lizzie is a 7 out of 10. And, you know, it went both ways. It was just open talk about your attractiveness or otherwise. You can't complain about your colleagues because your sergeants are doing it as well.
Her boss on Camden Robbery Squad was Detective Sergeant James Mason. His conduct one night was typical of what she was encountering.
I was at a custody suite. I was on my own dealing with a prisoner, and I asked for a lift home from someone or someone to help me to charge this person because the tubes had all stopped and I couldn't get back. So I messaged him and he said, I'll do anything for an attractive officer.
Did you challenge what was going on at the time?
No. I'd been groomed into thinking all of these kind of comments and behaviour towards me was just normal, and it was anything but normal.
She says DS Mason's behaviour around women officers was predatory, yet his career in the Met progressed. He became staff officer to Cressida Dick during her term as commissioner, and then a detective chief inspector. But his behaviour finally began to catch up with him.
Now, there's someone who wanted especially to be here to play a part and to present you with this award. Your daughter, Kristina.
Kristina O'Connor is the daughter of entertainer Des O'Connor. In 2001, she took to the stage with her dad when he was recognised for his achievements at the National TV Awards. She followed in his footsteps, becoming a musician and performer. In October 2011, Kristina O'Connor was assaulted on this Camden street by a gang of men trying to mug her. She turned to the police. Detective Sergeant James Mason was on the case, but appeared more interested in pursuing her than her attackers, subjecting her to sexual advances. He sent her emails from his police account, calling her my favourite Camden victim of crime, and saying, coming on to crime victims is positively encouraged. It's the rejection that's frowned upon. Kristina O'Connor complained to the Met in 2020. And in 2021, a misconduct panel found Mason guilty of 8 breaches of behaviour standards amounting to gross misconduct. He got a written warning but kept his job and his rank of Detective Chief Inspector, choosing to resign instead in 2022. Kristina O'Connor went to court to challenge the disciplinary process, claiming that the Met's investigation was flawed and the misconduct panel should have sacked him. Chief Inspector Jones was by now a district commander with Kent Police, watching appalled as events unfolded. She was furious to see Mason's misconduct towards Miss O'Connor being described as uncharacteristic, a one-off isolated incident.
I was thinking in my head, well, it wasn't a one-off, that's what he was like in general. I felt angry that he'd been portrayed in this way. I felt that it wasn't remotely close to the truth. You know, it's one thing to treat police officers like that, but victims of crime, they've reported something really bad that's happened to them, and then to be sexually harassed, I mean, it's just beyond inappropriate. It goes to the very core of trust and confidence in police.
Do you think he should have been dismissed?
Yes. I think anyone that crosses that line and behaves like that towards a victim of crime shouldn't be in the police.
She complained to the Met, reporting what she knew about Mason's pattern of behaviour. These claims were evidence that should have been handed over to Kristina O'Connor's lawyers. But when the officer heard nothing from them, she became suspicious and reached the difficult decision to take matters into her own hands.
I would have expected a phone call from them saying, we're interested in what you've got to say, but that never happened. So when I realised that that was the case, I felt that the Met had essentially covered up what I was saying. So I contacted her legal team directly.
I mean, you're taking quite a professional risk doing that, aren't you?
I am. It shouldn't be a risk. I mean, that's the heart of the problem, is that it shouldn't be a professional risk for me to say, this isn't right.
The step Chief Inspector Jones took prompted a further court hearing in October 2023, examining the issues she'd raised. The Met Commissioner's KC said that they apologised profusely for the late disclosure to the court of your allegations, and they say that the information fell through the net. What do you make of that?
I think there's two options, and it's either that they were so complacent that they did lose it, which is concerning, or they deliberately lost it.
Which do you think is the most likely?
I think they deliberately lost it.
I mean, that's quite an astonishing allegation. Do you think the Commissioner, Mark Rowley himself, should be held responsible for this?
I think there should definitely be an investigation to see what he knew, any influence that Cressida Dick had on this case as well.
His predecessor.
Yes, because Mason was her staff officer. So I think that both of them should be involved in an investigation, in an independent one, about what's actually happened here.
Kristina O'Connor lost her legal challenge to the decisions by the Commissioner and the Misconduct panel in Mason's case. She appealed last month, with that judgment expected soon. Meanwhile, Chief Inspector Jones knows the fight against misogyny in the police service goes on.
I think it's everywhere in this country, unfortunately. I think there are an awful lot of men and women who are doing a great job. They literally come to work and just work hard. And I know that they exist because I see them every day. But there's just too many who are still behaving in these kinds of ways.
So what needs to happen as a result of this, as a result of you coming forward, risking your career to speak?
We've had the Casey report and the Angelini report. It's time to look at the recommendations and actually live them, and not just say you are. You've got to live those principles and those recommendations, and just face some uncomfortable truths and not try to sweep them under the carpet. Yes, it is a risk, but I feel it's worth taking.
Well, James Mason declined to comment on the content of that report. The Metropolitan Police turned down an interview but told us in a statement that former DCI Mason's behaviour was wholly unacceptable. It said the Met Police has not sought to justify the panel's decision, which we know continues to be subject to legal challenge. The Commissioner has made it clear that officers who abuse their position of trust and authority have no place in the Met. We have been entirely open about the challenges facing the Met. We know wrongdoing by our officers has a huge impact on the trust and confidence Londoners have in us. We have reformed our approach with a huge investment in professional standards officers and new ways of working to proactively find and investigate criminal and conduct matters involving our staff. We continue to encourage our officers and staff and members of the public to come forward and report wrongdoing so we can take action. The National Police Chiefs Council told us police officers and staff should always be held to the highest standards, with those who do not meet these standards swiftly identified and removed. We continue to work closely with our partners and colleagues to deliver these improvements.